Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight I will read from the compilation titled Outlaw Creative: The Geometry of Life. And tonight I have selected the following reading: A Short History of Fun and Games. Let's begin. The history of fun and games is, at first glance, a history of diversion, of play, laughter, and recreation. But beneath that surface lies a deeper truth. Our games are not merely entertainment. They are rehearsal. They are simulation, they are ritual, and they are moral. To understand fun, to really understand it, is to ask not what entertains us, but what reveals us. For fun, like language, is structured. It has rules. Even when it is messy or wild, it takes place within boundaries we call games. And those boundaries are never arbitrary. They are mirrors. They reflect back to us not only our desires, but our fears, our frustrations, our vanities, our limitations. Fun is never innocent, and games, though often trivialized, are rarely trivial. So let us begin not with the laughter of children, but with the seriousness of play. 1. The first games, to imitate the world. In the beginning, we played to learn. The earliest games were not distractions, but preparations. Children mimicked the adults, hunting, gathering, cooking, defending. They threw stones not to pass time, but to practice accuracy. They wrestled not for spectacle, but to understand power, proximity, leverage. They built imaginary worlds not as escapes, but as blueprints for understanding the world they were born into. In this early phase, fun was functional. It was allowed, but it was not central. There was joy, certainly, but the joy was in the rehearsal of survival. Even animals play this way. Wolves wrestle to learn how to kill. Young birds chase each other midair, not for leisure, but for flight skill. Play, then, is nature's way of teaching with joy. And so, in this beginning, fun was not opposed to seriousness. It was a form of it. But as consciousness evolved, so too did the purpose of games. We began not only to simulate the world, but to invent new ones, and with invention came power. 2. The second games, to control the world. With language, with tools, with settled society, our games began to reflect more than the physical. They became reflections of structure, hierarchy, and risk. The ancient dice were not mere amusements. They were oracles, used in divination, indecision, in warfare, chess, backgammon, senate. These were not pastimes, they were models, grids and boards upon which status, movement, and power were abstracted, formalized, and negotiated. To play well was to understand the logic of action. To win was to justify one's right to ascend. Here, we begin to see games as systems, structured spaces in which the chaos of life could be reduced to clear rules, explicit boundaries, measurable outcomes. This was appealing for many reasons. First, because life itself does not often provide such clarity. And second, because in games, unlike in life, skill could be separated from birthright. A peasant could defeat a prince. A child could outmaneuver a general. In this, fun began to flirt with justice, and for a time the best games, like the best societies, were those that rewarded understanding over inheritance. But as with all things touched by power, the games eventually shifted. They began to be rigged. 3. The third games, to escape the world, when the systems of life became rigid, when society hardened, when religion demanded submission, when kings crowned themselves above correction, fun evolved again. This time into escape. The court jester emerged not only to entertain, but to speak the unspeakable. The fool was sacred precisely because his laughter could deflate the sanctimony of kings. His jokes were weapons. His fun was subversion. And elsewhere, the games of chance, the card games, the lotteries, the gambling houses, offered something else, the illusion of reversal, the possibility that fate might tilt in your favor, that you, though poor or forgotten, might win. Here, fun took on a strange shape. It was no longer preparation or reflection. It was protest. A quiet refusal of the logic of suffering. The history of fun, then, is also the history of the people's imagination. When systems grew too cruel, too fixed, too proud, fun whispered, "Let's pretend otherwise." And for a few minutes, or hours, or rounds, people did. 4. The fourth games to forget the world. Enter modernity, industrialization, mechanization, the factory clock. As work became mechanical, so too did fun. Amusement parks, spectator sports, sitcoms, video games, candy-colored distraction in an age of overstimulation. Now, fun is a commodity. It is packaged, sold, market-tested, pushed in algorithmic loops to keep attention, not to spark imagination. We are not invited to rehearse the real world or invert it. We are invited to avoid it, to scroll, to click, to play in spaces so detached from consequence that we lose any meaningful sense of risk or moral orientation. The games are still structured, yes, but the structure is designed for addiction, not growth. The rules shift in favor of the platform, not the player, and the player, convinced that this is fun, does not question it. But I do. I question whether it is still play when one cannot leave it. I question whether it is still a game when the opponent is an invisible corporation. And I wonder what has happened to us that we no longer play to discover, but only to distract. 5. The moral shape of fun. There is something sobering in this, that what begins in joy may end in manipulation, that a tool once meant to teach freedom can be repurposed to condition obedience. And yet, this is not a call to despair. It is a call to remember what fun was, what it could be. Not mindless, not passive, but deeply human, deeply creative, deeply revealing. Because the best games still do this. They still teach us to imagine otherwise. They still call forth our better selves. They still reward collaboration, ingenuity, risk. They teach loss. They teach resilience. They teach that failure is not death, but invitation. The best fun is not shallow. It is transcendent. And the best games are not escapes from the world. They are portals deeper into it. 6. On laughter and the sacred use of play. A word here on laughter. There is no moral system, I trust, that does not include it. Not sarcasm, not cruelty, not the laughter that isolates, but true laughter, the kind that opens the chest, the kind that makes you vulnerable in the presence of others, the kind that says we are small and it's okay. Fun, at its highest, is not indulgence, it is recognition of limits, of absurdity, of mystery. And to laugh well is to rehearse humility. It is to feel, for a moment, what it means to be held not by certainty, but by joy. 7. The future of fun. So what comes next? Can games still teach us? Can fun still elevate? I believe so, but not without discernment. We must ask, who made this game? What does it train me to do? What kind of world does it prepare me to accept? If the answer is compliance, consumption, forgetting, then perhaps it is not fun at all. But if it calls forth courage, if it invites reflection, if it stirs empathy or wonder or righteous laughter, then it is sacred. Then it is part of the long story of our becoming. Then it deserves to be remembered. Conclusion. Play as moral philosophy. I end here, not with warning, but with invitation. Let us return to the first games. Let us watch the child building a kingdom out of chairs and blankets. Let us kneel beside the elders playing chess beneath the trees. Let us laugh without cruelty. Let us compete without contempt. Let us remember that the game is not an escape from the world. It is a chance to practice being human inside it. And above all, let us play not to win, but to reveal what is worth winning. Let us play as those who still remember that the world is not finished, not yet, and that sometimes the best way to change it is to imagine, with joy, with others, with humility, how else it might be played.